Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Friday study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the express train
It's Thursday.
to connection. What's that? It's Thursday?
It's Thursday today, yeah.
Okay. You're allowed to correct me if you're right. You are right? Let me check my phone. It is Thursday. Yes, it is. Me and Mare are fasting. We're on day 3 of a fast. And Rachel.
Oh,
We're on day 3. We're feeling good.
I'm glad I didn't accept that invitation up there this week.
I know. No, I'm feeling good. Rachel? I mean, I don't know where she went. Mare, you feeling good?
Yeah, I am.
All right, good. Do my abhyanga.
Mm-hmm.
Do my hot baths.
Wow.
Do some. Been doing running, and what else have I been doing?
I thought you were doing
cold
showers.
Very cold showers. Where the water comes from, it must be like the Arctic Circle in my house. It's so cold, it's like burning. And I'm just breathing and saying that famous quote, I'm noticing sensation, but not giving meaning to the sensation. Mm-hmm. I just go in there and I say, I notice sensation. I notice. Once you say, it's cold, then you get cold. And you start to realize that the cold and the heat is all mental. It's a mental concoction.
Yogic techniques of Raghu. This is
I notice
valuable
sensation.
tips.
Don't give meaning to the sensation.
That's the first takeaway for today, Mara, right there.
Don't give meaning to sensation. How are you, Kaustubha?
Doing good.
Good. My daughter's going to California for spring break.
I know.
Should I be worried? Should I be worried about that?
I think
No,
she's
I'm
gonna be
sending
just
her.
fine.
I'm sending her. She's staying with the devotees and her devotee boyfriend.
Yeah.
I feel good about
He
it.
seems like a great guy.
He's a great guy. The whole devotee community. Vivi just went out there. She was just like, I love it here. I want to move here. She's just hanging out Laguna with her Uncle Tukaram. It's great.
Great.
Long Beach Temple, Madhuri in Yoga 108, and Kumi in Yoga Veda Yoga. There's got a great posse on the West Coast. We're going to, by the way, we're doing a Wisdom of the Sages retreat there in Long Beach, California, the first weekend of August. And then we come back for Ashram month.
Okay.
Just FYI, peeps, Californians, make a plan. Okay, Mara, any announcements?
Yeah, we have a Bhakti recovery group meeting at noon today. Madhu is doing his workshop about balancing career and spirituality at 5:30 p.m. for Patreon members, and Sweet Baby Krishna tonight at 7 p.m.
Sweet Baby Krishna is back, continuing reading of the Garga Samhita for Patreon members. Thanks, all Patreon members. Really appreciate you. If you're not on Patreon and you'd like to be part of our inner circle of supporters, you get free Baby Krishna with that. Free baby
Baby Krishna.
You get a free Baby Krishna. Everyone gets one, takes one home. Krishna, what's it called? There's an actual Sanskrit word when Krishna actually turns into multiple Krishnas. Do you know that word?
Oh yeah. but I'm
Dances
forgetting
which
right now.
each of the gopis, or
Yeah.
what's that word?
Well, it's
Okay,
just
that's
one
your-
of the different ways that he expands, but there's a technical term for that.
There's a
I forget.
technical term. Anyway, that's tonight at 7. Patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. Alrighty, you want to get into the juicy nectar?
Well,
pot?
it is Poetry Week here at Wisdom of the Sages.
Oh, it's poetry week. I forgot.
Yeah.
All right, well, I got a poem for you, my friend.
Who's it from?
You better get. We need the word nerd today. We're gonna have to ask Mara to bust out her dictionary, because there's a lot of words that even I, who thought I was the word nerd master, am getting stumbled on.
I think I know all the words in this one.
Yeah, you looked them up. You're not a word nerd.
Okay.
You're the poem nerd.
So
Okay.
who's this poem from?
Emily Dickinson.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Didn't she write Little Women and Little Men?
No, that
Was
was
that
Louisa
No,
May
that's
Alcott.
Whoopsie.
You're not- okay.
What do you think of this? Ready?
What's
Some
the
keep
name?
the Sabbath.
What is the name of the poem?
The poem is, what do you think of this? No, it's by Some Keep the Sabbath Going to Church.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Mhm.
That can be translated as some stay Krishna conscious going to the temple.
Oh, I suppose.
But here on Wisdom of the Sages, we're a little out of the box, and we relate to Emily Dickinson. Hear me out on this.
All right, let's
Some
go.
keep the Sabbath going to church. I keep it staying at home with a bobolink for a chorister. You know what a bobolink is?
It's a bird.
It's a bird. A bobolink is a bird. Mara, maybe do some research on what is it? What is the kind of bird is a bobolink?
It's a
Well, the
blackbird.
bobolink is it's a blackbird. Okay,
She's got
so
it.
a
She's-
bobolink is a chorister. So they sing bobolinks as a chorister, meaning the bobolink is the choir,
That's right.
and an orchard for a dome.
All right, let's read the whole verse again.
Some keep the Sabbath going to church. I keep it staying at home with a bobolink as a chorister and an orchard for a dome.
All right, so she's into nature is her church, is what she's saying, right?
Right. Instead of the dome of the cathedral, she's in an orchard.
Okay.
All right. Some keep the Sabbath in surplice. Surplice. What's that word, Kaustubha? Mara?
It's like this white cloth. I don't know if it was like if everyone would wear it to church or if like only like the priest, but it's like this kind of church wear.
Church wear. Yeah, like a dhoti.
Yeah. there you go.
I just wear my wings. And instead of the tolling bell for church, our little sexton sings.
Mhm.
Right?
So-
Sexton's a bird too.
No, a sexton is the person that rings the bell in the church.
Oh.
But here, I think there's a double meaning because at least in the one that I'm looking at, that the word sexton is capitalized. So I think she's also like she's referring to the poet and sexton. That's my guess. Right. So
Okay.
she's saying like.
Oh,
you
so
know,
I'm getting the
Yeah, you getting the
right.
gist.
I'm getting the gist. Like she's got her own church going on, and it's like in nature.
And reading poetry and stuff like that.
Yeah. God preaches, a noted clergyman, and the sermon is never long. So instead of getting to heaven at last, I'm going all along.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that lovely?
last verse. Yeah.
You know, I always say this with the Raja Vidya, Raja Vidya Raja Guyam Pavritam Idamuttamam Yakshagabamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartam Avayam. What's that, 9-2? Beautiful verse. Beautiful verse. This knowledge that we're studying, that we're doing right now, that we're doing every morning, the king of knowledge, Raja Vidya, the king of education, the purest knowledge, because it gives direct perception of the self. And it's the perfection of Dharma. It's the perfection of religion, right? It's everlasting and it's joyfully performed, meaning we are not beating ourselves in penance and like a ritual. Yeah, right. People do that. And ritualistically going to church to get some payback, some return on investment for my weekly donation and piety. That's not why we're into this. Our spiritual life is a daily communion, a daily connection. and it's joyful. And at the time of death, it's also joyful, meaning we're not waiting for a pie in the sky when we die. The whole thing is Haribo, and I'm going to chant the holy name all over the world, Kaustubha.
No. It's okay. Slow down. All over the world. But yeah, but I think it's, I appreciate this poem. I appreciate where she's coming from. And I guess in general, the theme is that, you can just follow the rituals like everybody else and like as the institution lays out and never go very deep. And a deeper thinker is recognizing God's not only in the church, right? I go out into the orchard, I'm feeling the presence of God, right? I don't need that choir singing those songs. When I hear the birds sing, I'm thinking of God, and then when she says, God preaches, like, in other words, God's preaching through the bird, God's preaching through the orchard, and the sermon's never long, which I guess she means is like, it's not like you're sitting there bored out of your mind in church,
Yeah.
And so when you're thinking like that, when you're seeing God everywhere, well, then it's not like this idea of like, I suffer through these rituals, like we endure them so that
We
at
endure
the end
them.
we go back to heaven. But no, that you're experiencing God all along, then you're in heaven all along, right? If you feel God's presence, then that's as good as heaven. And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Rachel
so,
was
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say Rachel was appreciating that yesterday. She's just like, I have traded in my job for this, where I get to just chant. If I didn't have that, she just has like a nice solid morning of chanting and deity worship and reading and singing. And it's like, this is life. This isn't an hour and 10 minutes a week. This is like and it's joy. And we get it. Like, it's supposed to be grave also. It is grave. We talk about death. We don't have our heads stuck in the sand. People accuse people into spirituality. You're not even thinking about reality. Can you get real? This is more real than anything I've ever done. Death is in the forefront of the mind. And we're talking about, instead of dreaming about how we will enjoy in the moment, this life is so enjoyable.
It is. And while I appreciate the poem, I also think that, there's always this tension, right? It's like some people are going to be more orthodox, and then some people are going to recognize a certain shallowness in that, and they're going to swing to the other direction and say, there's no, I think Rabindranath Tagore also had a very famous poem about that, which was more in the Hindu context, right? Where he's saying, this ringing the bells in the temples, just walk out of the temples, God is everywhere, can't you see that?
Right.
But I think there's truth in both. It's just that what's not always realized is that the ritual is designed to actually give you the vision to see God everywhere. So if you kind of get what it's really all about, then when you walk out of the church or when you walk out of the temple, then you are seeing God everywhere, in the bird and in the tree and in all that. There's yeah.
When you get up here to Super Soul Farm, take off those shoes of yours, take off the socks. You walk around in that grass. You and me will tackle each other, roll down the hill, laugh.
It was going well for a moment there. No, I take off my shoes. I'm walking barefoot. I walk barefoot in Central Park. Go out there to Sheep's Meadow. I connect with the earth, Raghunath.
Yeah, it doesn't count. You got to come up here. Walk in the creek. Bucket shower in the creek.
I was going to mention that, in the 11th canto Bhagavatam, there's this really nice description of ritual, of doing deity worship, of worshiping the form, which like someone could kind of put under the, like Emily Dickinson's, like that's the church, right? Where you have these different rituals that you do. And commonly people just, when you have those rituals, there's like a list of what you do, A, B, C, D, and you follow.
You gotta kneel down. You got to light the candle. You got to say a prayer.
Ring the bell, do this.
Ring the bell.
And so
rituals.
It can be mechanical. But it's not meant to be mechanical. And if you have someone that embodies the meaning of it and that can help you understand it, then it becomes very powerful. And so like in that 11th canto, there's this description of, how one worships the deity in the form of God that is most dear to one, and how one sits down and does pranayama and the Bhuta Shuddhi, and so it does all these internally they're taking their mind somewhere. And then the last verse, after it describes the ritual and all the different steps, then it says, thus the worshiper of the Supreme Lord should recognize that the personality of Godhead, the one that they're worshiping in that form, right, in the temple, they should they should recognize that the personality of Godhead is all-pervading, and should worship him through his presence in fire, the sun, water, and other elements, in the heart of the guest one receives in one's home, and also in one's own heart. In this way, the worshiper will very soon achieve liberation.
You make me feel like when I come to your house, you make me feel special.
Well,
warm.
that's because God is obviously just
sits me down,
manifesting through you, Raghunath. It's plainly obvious.
Boo.
But in any case, my point being that I appreciate the poem, but I also recognize that that can be a simplistic type of thinking too, right? It maybe you never understood what the ritual is about. Maybe you were in a community where nobody understood what the ritual was about. But it doesn't mean that the ritual is necessarily dead. It's just it can come to life if you're guided, in a way that does that.
Yeah, it's like it's Easter. We'll have a jelly bean hunt, a chocolate rabbit hunt. But my kids have no clue what the hell is going on here with Lord Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's not even Easter ritual, but I mean,
rituals are good, but it's good to have substance with the ritual.
Yeah,
that's what we're saying. Ritual is good. We like ritual good.
Ritual is meant to bring you where she's taught what she's talking about, right? Where you do walk out in nature and you see God everywhere. It's meant to give you that. Connected to.
It's like we've been saying all week. Where does ritual bring you? Remember, we would say, where does your career bring you? Where does what the other one, Mara? Culture, work, and now ritual. Where does ritual bring you?
Right.
If you're just mindlessly going through the puja, going through the japa, where is it bringing you?
All right.
Here we go.
Thank you, Raghunath, for that lovely poem.
You're welcome.
We got one more day of poetry week.
We're doing Shakespeare tomorrow.
Are we?
Yeah.
I couldn't really figure out that one that you shared with me. It just sounded a little. I don't know. We'll go back to it.
This is Shakespeare's Brahmachari poem.
Okay.
You'll love it.
Like, no, I've read it already. I didn't love it yet. I may still love it.
You get it. There's a lot of double meanings going on.
Okay.
All right.
Ready?
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being. Unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. And to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesh vabhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya. Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Midatam Yena Tasmaye Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes. With the torchlight of knowledge, I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Mara is going to wear a big Easter bonnet this weekend. She loves parading around this town of Ghent in her Easter bonnet.
You're really into Easter today.
Yeah.
Reading from Canto 4, Chapter 12, Text 17.
Chapter 12, Text 17.
Yeah, so now Dhruva Maharaj is retired, right? He empowered his son to take over all the responsibility.
And he heads to the Himalayas.
Where did he go exactly?
Badrinath.
Yeah, Badrika Ashram.
Hmm.
Okay, so he's up in the mountains now.
Mara, look up Badrinath, what the meaning. I think it's the Lord of Badri, which is like a tree.
It's a
Badri
berry,
is
right?
It's like a tree, yeah, but I think it's supposed to be an incarnation of Shiva or something like that. Can you just check that out for me? Bhadrinath meaning. It's a berry. Lord of the berries. That makes no sense. It's got to have a deeper meaning.
Well, that berry tree grows there.
In Badarak Ashram, Dhruva Maharaj's senses became completely purified because he bathed regularly in the crystal clear, purified water. Hot seat Kaustubha. What is the river flowing in Badrinath?
Oh, Saraswati.
Ooh, you got me.
Yeah.
You got me. You're right.
You thought you had me.
You bet I had him. Mary, you got an answer?
Not yet.
Okay.
Still looking it up.
Because of his transcendental bliss, incessant tears flowed from his eyes.
Hold it.
His heart melted.
Whoa. Slow down.
Skipped
You got to read the
something?
whole
I
text
just
17.
skipped. You know what? I skipped it because I thought I had a good hot seat for you.
Right.
He fixed his sitting position by yogic practice, controlled the breathing process and the air of life, right? So he was doing his pranayam. He's sitting still. In this way, his senses were completely withdrawn. Then he concentrated his mind on the Archa Vigraha. So here's what he's doing. He's in meditation. He's not meditating on the void. He's not meditating on the white light. He's meditating on the Archa Vigraha, the form of the Lord, right? So how you, you know what I was reading in, even reading in Patabi Joyce's book, Yoga Mala. He says in this book, I don't know if you caught this, but in the asanas, you're supposed to be meditating on your Ishta Deva. Isn't that interesting?
I mean, I'm sure that was taught to him by Krishnamacharya. And so, yeah, I mean, really those asanas are
I
meant
bet
to...
Americans read... I bet Americans just read through that. Just like, Ishta Deva, yeah, whatever.
You think you're special? Is that what?
No, I just think they don't know that term, so they just breeze over it.
Maybe they look it up.
Or they look it up. But form of the Lord. What is that going to mean to a person? My form of the Lord. I don't know. I mean, when I was little, I didn't know. Before I met devotees, I didn't know what God looked like.
Well, I believe Krishnamacharya taught that, like, within those different, like you have Kurmasana, right, which is the turtle pose. So then you can meditate on the form of Kurma, this avatar, the turtle avatar, and so on. But yeah, I mean, ultimately all that asana is meant so that you can sit still for a long time and go into... You still haven't finished this verse. It said, then he concentrated his mind on the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord, which is the exact replica of the Lord, and thus meditating upon him, entered into complete trance. So, yeah, it's, he's in trance with a focus, right? He's withdrawn the senses, right? This is all Astanga-yoga language here. Right, this is a very difficult path. As you mentioned, what's important to realize is, in other words, if we want to understand what Astanga-yoga is, it means that you enter into a state of trance. Well, what does that trance mean? It's so deep, and this is how it's described in the Yoga Sutras, that you have an object that you're meditating on, whatever it might be. And here, it's being described as a form of God. And that your meditation becomes so complete that you actually forget that you exist. Like, in other words, your mind is like, generally, like I lift up this glass of water and I'm looking at it, I'm aware of it, my attention is drawn to it, I'm holding a glass of water, but it's still like, I'm here, the glass is here, the room is here, like, Mike, just like there's that story with Arjuna, the story I'm talking about, Arjuna?
Yes, I know exactly what story you're talking about.
Go ahead, tell that story.
Arjuna's going to shoot, or the guru, Drona, put a wooden bird up in a tree. And it was something like they had to shoot backwards through a mirror or something like that. And,
I don't know if that was, but in any case, he was asking all his students, look up in the tree, what do you see? Right? And they
called up Duryodhana, and he says, I saw the sky, I see the tree, I see the bird. Okay, sit down. Not qualified to shoot. Right. Calls up the next guy. What do you see? I see the tree. I see the bird. What do you mean? Okay, sit down. Arjuna, what do you see? Arjuna, what do you see? Arjuna sees, I see the eye of the bird. He goes, what else do you see? I see the eye of the bird.
I think
you see something else, don't you?
I think he first said, I see the bird. And then he said, describe further. He says, I only see the eye of the bird. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then it said that, you know what it says after that? Jonah's reaction.
Shoot the arrow.
Yeah, but it said his hair stood on end.
Oh, I missed that part.
Yes.
Who, Jonah's hair stood on end?
Jonah's, like, in other words, finally a student that really understands, like, this is the focus. This is, So in other words, he was completely focused. Now, this state of trance is even something deeper than that, right? But you become so immersed in the object of your meditation. You keep that concentration and that focus and that meditation for long periods of time till you reach this point where your awareness is entirely in the object and in nothing external, even the awareness of one's own self. Now, try to think of how difficult that is. How difficult it is to bring the mind to that place where you even forget you become so absorbed in the object of your meditation that you lose awareness of your own existence, and you're fully and only aware of what you're meditating on. It's to control the mind on that level is like, it's just so hard, and therefore you can't do it. Like, Dhruva never did this when he was the king, right? He didn't do it when he was ruling a kingdom. He didn't do it when he had responsibilities, worldly responsibilities. He did it after he left all that behind. He went out into the forest, and then
it's probably more difficult for the mind, Kaustubha, when it's almost like an empty nester. They're thinking like, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do? The kids are not here. They're off to college. What am I going to do now? So like after you're managing an entire kingdom and you have no more responsibilities, it's pretty amazing. Like the mind has to, or he's been preparing for this and it's easier. What do you think?
I think he's been waiting for it. This is kind of what we see a lot in Bhagavatam, right? Same with Bharat, right? In one sense, that's why they're actually quick to like enthrone the next person as soon as they recognize that person's qualified. They're ready to walk. Because imagine what it means to be the king in this context, right? It's like, not only do you have, wealth and opulence and fame and all these things, but, being in that position, it gives you access. It gives you, and so like everyone has access to, in that culture, everyone would have access to different yogis or different wise people, but the king has access to the wisest people, right? Like to the greatest, they would advise him and so on. So like, they would walk out of the mountains and come down to meet the king. And it was like, people could feel the depth of their realization, and they would just kind of get like filed right up to the king. This person has deep realizations about life and can help you understand, how to serve best. And so the king would be meeting these, and it describes how they would greet them, right? Like the king's up on his throne. The king would step down from the throne, bow down, put the sadhu, right? Put that yogi up on the throne and begin to ask questions about life. Like we see Narada comes in and how he's greeted by Yudhishthira, begin to ask them, how do I serve better? What do I need to understand about life? So they're meeting these really elevated souls and they're thinking, I wish I was more, they've got the life, I may have all this opulence, but they've got deep realization and inner happiness and total detachment. I'm ready for it. I want it. And so as soon as they had that chance, they're going for it. So I think Dhruva was like that he's waiting for the moment. And by the way, I mentioned, I think earlier, that he served for 36,000 years, right? So
yeah, time for retirement.
Probably ready. Probably ready to retire. So in any case, maybe we could read the commentary to this one because Prabhupada speaks a little bit about this. But you see, to me, what becomes important here is what's spelled out so clearly in the Bhagavad Gita, that this type of samadhi, this type of yoga, it's not done in the cities. It's not done in, it's not even done within the social context of like family and business and so on. It's done by the renunciate. Now, there's other types of yoga where you take all of your responsibilities and you turn them into meditations. You turn them into contemplation. And that's called karma yoga or Bhakti-yoga. But this Astanga-yoga, which is a yoga of deep meditation, a type of meditation that's way beyond anything you're going to find in these yoga studios, it's always
more than a 90-minute class.
Yeah, or a 20-minute here and there. Then
a misnomer.
You leave everything behind.
Okay.
Want to read the commentary?
Yeah. Here is the description of Astanga-yoga system to which Dhruva Maharaj was already accustomed. Astanga-yoga was never meant to be practiced in a fashionable city like New York. Dhruva Maharaj went to Badarik Ashram, and in a solitary place alone, he practiced yoga. That's what I'm talking about, Kaustubha. You and me embracing, rolling down a hill.
I don't see the connection, but please continue.
Jumping in a hay bale, laughing, giggling. He concentrated his mind.
This homoerotic interpretation of meditation. What were you calling? Okay.
Love is love, Kaustubha. He concentrated his mind on the Archa Vigraha, the worshipful deity of the Lord, which exactly represents the Supreme Lord, and thus thinking constantly of that deity, he became absorbed in trance.
There you go.
Worship of the Archa Vigraha is not idol worship, right? Some people, it flips them out. What? You're worshiping an idol? No. The Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of the Lord in the form appreciable by a devotee. Right?
Okay.
You can't see God everywhere.
Yeah, right. In other words, yeah, and in one sense, this is an answer to Emily Dickinson, right? In other words, yeah, maybe I see God in nature, but maybe not so fully. But by practicing this meditation, which is a form of God that I can appreciate, and by appreciate meaning I can perceive, then that'll make me more qualified to see God in nature.
Beautiful. Therefore, devotees engage in the temple in the service of the Lord as Archa Vigraha, a form made of stula material, objects such as stone, metal, wood, jewels, and paint. A jewel deity. All of these are called jewels. All of these are called stula. It's part of my treasure fantasies.
Yeah.
All of these are called stula, or physical representations. Since the devotees follow the regulative principles of worship, even though the Lord is here in his physical form, he is non-different from his original spiritual form. Thus, the devotee gets the benefit of achieving the ultimate goal of life. That is to say, becoming always absorbed in thought of the Lord. This incessant thought of the Lord, as prescribed in the Bhagavad Gita, makes one the topmost yogi.
Very interesting, right? So in one sense, there's two ways to absorb the mind. One is this state of trance. And then Prabhupada is saying there's also incessant thought of the Lord, right? Like trance, again, that trance state means you get lost, just like, we read about this, right? Like earlier in Bhagavatam, we read about how Maharaj Pariksit was walking through the forest. He was thirsty and tired. He came upon a yogi in trance, right? And he said, I'm thirsty. Can you get me some water? But that trance, that state that yogi was in, he wasn't even aware of his own existence, what to speak of Maharaj Pariksit. He was 100% in trance, focused, absorbed in the object of his meditation. So even someone walked up to him and said, hello, he was totally unaware. Now we can call that trance or samadhi. But Prabhupada, when he speaks of samadhi, sometimes he speaks more like this, where he's saying incessant thought on the Lord, right? In other words, I'm moving about life, I'm taking care of things, but at every step I'm thinking of God. And so really, if we read Prabhupada's commentaries, he's directing us towards that type of samadhi.
Side note, Shama on the message board says that the Meenakshi temple, which you've been there, right?
I've been to the Meenakshi temple, yes.
That is, the deity's made of emerald.
The goddess Meenakshi? The entire deity?
Entire deity. That's what Shama says.
Or maybe the eyes? Because Meenakshi refers to the eyes.
Mara, can you look that up? Is Meenakshi's? What's the Meenakshi made of? Mara did pretty good with the other one now.
That's the deity in, what's the town called again?
What's the town called? That pretty town. South India.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't think of it.
Okay, listen here.
Yeah.
Badri refers to a berry that was said to grow abundantly in the area, and Nath means Lord of. So Badri, also Sanskrit name for the Indian jujube tree. Oh, a jujube berry. I've eaten those, which has an edible berry. Some scriptural reference refer to jujube trees as being abundant in Badrinath. That's it. The Lord of the berry tree. Maybe that's what it means.
Yeah, okay. I mean, there's still maybe more to it.
There's probably a story there.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a story. I think there is a story. Okay, that's everybody's homework. Who can find that? Oh, wait a second. Kaylee Dasi, who's in India right now, says, according to Hindu legend, Vishnu sat in meditation at this place. During his meditation, Lord Vishnu was unaware of cold weather. Goddess Lakshmi, his wife, protected him in the form of a budri tree. There you go.
Okay.
That's the answer I was looking for. Go deeper, Mara. Go deeper. Please.
She's fasting. She's kind of
like, I'll give you the Latin name for the tree. That's it. Pleased by the devotion of Goddess Lakshmi, Lord Vishnu named the place Badarik Ashram. Hence, Lord Vishnu was called Badri Vishal as a large berry jujube, and Lord Vishnu as the Badrinath, Lord husband of Badri.
Right. Oh, and by the way, Madurai is the town we're thinking of.
Madurai.
Right. Yeah.
Find any news about Meenakshi, the deity? Is it an emerald deity?
I haven't looked it up.
I haven't found anything yet.
Okay.
I'm still looking.
Okay, Mara. Kaylee Dasi, if you might have an answer.
Kaylee Dasi. Maybe we just put Kaylee Dasi on this.
Kaylee. Mara's like, you can't fire me. I quit.
Anyone who wants my job is welcome to it. It's not very well paid. It's not paid at all, actually.
It's not well paid. We pay you in lots of love. What's higher than love? That's what we always say on the show, Mara. What's higher than love?
So if I withdraw my service, you'll withdraw your love. Or if I'm unsuccessful in my service, you're withdrawing your love?
No, well, I'm saying
his love comes in many forms, Mara. That's what you have to understand.
Next time the mortgage is due, you just say, well, here's some love.
Oh, Rama sent me a message. Here we go. The Meenakshi deity is carved out of a green stone. Some say it's made up of emerald. Hence,
Why wouldn't it
Meenakshi is also called Maragatambal or Maragathavali, the Tamil word for emerald.
Wow.
Oh,
The distinct feature of the statue is its eyes, which are big, beautiful, and mysterious.
Yeah, because Meenakshi means her eyes are like fish, I believe.
Yeah.
Mina.
I had a wonderful time. My wife and I
wonder if that's where they get the name Minnow from. Mina.
Possible.
Okay, you and your wife in Madurai. Tell us.
We went to, we one year, I think it was 2007, 2008, and we went for 6 months to India, and we just traveled all over. We saw so many places, north to south. Yeah, but when you travel a lot like that,
exhausting.
It can wear you down in India, also. Especially right.
Back in the old days, especially.
Yeah, so we started Mumbai, and we went across. We went to Jaipur. We went to Vrindavan. We went to Udaipur.
Back in the old days, we never stayed in hotels either, right? You stayed.
Well, we had to stay in hotels sometimes on that trip.
You did? Okay.
We were all over the place.
But it wasn't like the Four Seasons Madurai.
No, it was simple places. We went.
Simple budget.
And we went all over. Then we went up to Rishikesh, came down to Delhi, and then we flew down to the south. We flew down to Chennai, and we went to Tirupati. We went to Kanchipuram, and then we went to Srirangam.
What a great South Indian tour.
But by that time, we were pretty exhausted, a little sick, a little worn down,
Yeah, India can wear you down, tear up your feet.
And we had stayed in a couple crummy kind of hotels, and at that point too. So we were wearing down, and we got on the train to go to Madurai, and we didn't know it was set up. It was Radhakund just set up for someone for us to stay with. So we had no idea what we were landing in.
Right.
And we
staying
got
in someone's house, staying in someone's
home, yeah. And we were just like, and we're really kind of feeling worn down, and we're just like, well, we're in Krishna's hands now. We don't know what's going to go on, how much is going to be expected of us, what it's going to be like there. Well, if the food's going to be healthy and it's going to make us better, or if it's going to be hard,
You don't even know where you're going to. You're just staying in some house in Madurai.
And so
you're already worn down. Tell me.
Yeah, so the home, it was a home of like, the family ran like this, perhaps the best gold shop and jewelry store in Madurai. And Madurai is where everyone goes to get married too, right? Because that's where Lord Vishnu married Shiva and Parvati. So like people from all over India go there to get married, and they go there to buy all the fancy jewelry and all that. So like this is like a serious gold store, And so they had this whole house. It was like, I don't know how many floors it was, but it was like it was big, and it had many different levels. It wasn't like super opulent, but it was, it was like a major building. And, it had many, like the family was like, an extended family living in that house. And they were just such sweet people, Raghunath, just beautiful, beautiful people. We walked in there and there was like teenagers. It was like, there were 2 couches there. It was like the most innocent thing I'd ever seen. It was like 4 boys and 4 girls sitting on couches like across from each other and like associating with each other, and it felt like the most innocent way I could imagine. It wasn't like how American teenagers hang out. But they were all really sweet, and they fed us idli that was like so fluffy and soft. It was like a cloud. It was like unbelievable, And they were just like so kind to us and so accommodating and just really wonderful people.
This is the most incredible squirrel that you've ever squirreled us out.
We're squirreling for
my
sure,
friend.
But I was going to say that town, Madurai, has, and the temple of Meenakshi there. I've never seen architecture like that in my life. All over India, that was the most architecturally, by far the most mind-blowing place I'd ever seen in my life.
I want to go. Never been there. Madurai.
Let's do it.
Alrighty. Text.
Or is it the gold?
I want to go for the gold. And Mara's like, he wants the gold.
Okay. Let's read.
The emerald deity is missing. Raghunath.
Okay.
That Bugs Bunny. Mine. Go. Daffy Duck finds the treasure. Mine. Go. Okay.
Text 18.
Text 18. Because of his transcendental bliss, incessant tears flowed from his eyes. His heart melted, and there was shivering and standing of the hairs all over his body. This happens a lot. Thus transformed in trance of bhakti, Dhruva Maharaj completely forgot his bodily existence. And thus, he immediately became liberated from material bondage. Boom.
Wow.
That's exciting.
So, okay.
This freedom is called
we're going to hear
Muktalinga.
This is how he transcends kind of his death, you could say, but he never really dies.
Want to read a little purport of this?
If you would like to.
Due to constant engagement in bhakti. That's what we're trying to do here. Hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping the deity, etc., as prescribed in the 9 varieties, right, by Prahlad Maharaj. There are different symptoms which appear in the body of a devotee.
Right.
These 8 bodily transformations, which indicate that a devotee is already liberated within himself, are called the Asta-sattvika Vikara.
8?
Sattvika.
Sattvika
right?
here, like, I think sattva means pure, but I think what it means is like they're involuntary. Like, in other words, like, it's not some like, I think I'll do this now. Like when the hair stands on end, you get goosebumps.
You're not planning
it's involuntary. Yeah,
right?
So
it's not like, get on your end.
Yeah. Yeah, so Asta-sattvika Vikara, there's these 8 involuntary symptoms that occur in the body of a devotee who's deeply in this state of devotion.
When a devotee completely forgets his bodily existence, he should be understood to be liberated. He is no longer encaged in the body. Isn't that interesting? I think the closest you get to that is like dancing in ecstatic kirtan, where like you're sitting down, the kirtan's very meditative, and you're trying to get deep, and all of a sudden some fool, actually not a fool, disguised as a fool, but he's actually a great soul, grabs you and pulls you and makes you start dancing. And then you just like lose your body. You know what I'm talking about?
I think I do.
You think I do? You think you do? All right. Well, that's where we're going with this. Next verse.
19.
Text 19. As soon as the symptoms of his liberation were manifest, he saw a very beautiful aeroplane coming down from the sky as if the brilliant full moon were coming down, illuminating the 10 directions. So a lot of people, they say, this is how they leave the world. Airplanes come for them.
UFO.
Now, they may not be TWA or Pan Am. They might be.
It's going to be neither of those, unless they disappeared and went off to become some kind of spiritual skyliners.
Dated myself. But no, they're these subtle airplanes, right? Probably subtle. You think they're gross? Maybe only the pure
Are you
devotee
kidding
can
me?
see
This
them.
thing is brilliant like the moon, and it's you know.
I know, but maybe it's just him leaving his body, and that's what he sees. You know, that's what I'm thinking.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
Or else everybody sees a beautiful airplane coming down and grabbing
Oh,
him.
I see what you're asking. Oh, okay.
Maybe it's just like he's already like left his body, and now it's just sort of like this is his liberation here.
He actually never leaves his body, but his body just kind of transforms. Like he doesn't leave a corpse behind, but his body just kind of transforms. It mentions that somewhere, I think, if we keep reading.
Next verse.
Okay.
All right. Text 20. Dhruva Maharaj saw two beautiful associates of Lord Vishnu in the plain. They had 4 hands and a blackish bodily luster. They were very youthful, and their eyes were just like reddish lotus flowers. They held clubs in their hands, and they were dressed in very attractive garments with helmets and were decorated with necklaces, bracelets, and earrings.
Imagine that.
Good-looking, beautiful people coming to.
4 armed people.
Dhruva Maharaj, seeing that these uncommon personalities were direct servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, immediately stood up. But being puzzled in hastiness, he forgot how to receive them in a proper way. Therefore, he simply offered obeisances with folded hands and chanted and glorified the holy names of the Lord.
Yes.
Text 22. Dhruva Maharaj, always absorbed in thinking of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, his heart was full with Krishna when the 2 confidential servants of the Supreme Lord, who were named Nanda and Sunanda. Oh, you're not going to believe this. I just saw a fox.
that was like as close as we've gotten to a literal squirrel.
A fox just ran out of outside my window.
That was almost a literal squirrel right there. It probably was a squirrel.
No, it was a big red fox.
Okay,
just keeping it real here. So they were named Nanda and Sunanda. I wonder.
Do you have to worry about your sheep?
No, the sheep will start running crazy around the house.
Yeah,
but
well,
I don't think a fox will take down a sheep.
Okay. What about your birds?
Rachel, we have no more birds.
No.
Approached him. The Nanda and Sunanda approached him, smiling happily. Dhruva stood with folded hands, bowing down humbly, and then addressed him as follows. Okay, Rachel's checking on the sheep. 23. Nanda and Sunanda, the 2 confidential associates of Vishnu, said, "Dear king, let there be all good fortune unto you. Please attentively hear what we shall say. When you were only 5 years old, you underwent severe austerities and thereby greatly satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are representatives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the creator of the whole universe, who carries in his hand a bow named Mara. What's the name of Lord Vishnu's bow?
Sharinga.
Sharanga. Good trivia question.
Sharanga.
We have been specifically deputed to take you to the spiritual world. Wow. They're coming for you, the good guys. To achieve Vishnu Loka is very difficult, but by your austerity you have conquered. Even the great rishis and the demigods cannot achieve this position. Simply to see the supreme abode, the Vishnu planet, the sun and moon and all the other planets, stars, lunar mansions. Yes, there are lunar mansions, and the solar systems are circumambulating it. Now, please come. You are welcome to go there. They're going to come for you, Mara, one day on this plane. It's time, Mara. You've served so sweetly over the years. You never complained, no matter how abusive Raghunath was. Okay. There's more. There's a little more here. Text 26. Dear King Dhruva, neither your forefathers nor anyone else before you has ever achieved such a transcendental planet. The planet known as Vishnu Loka, where Lord Vishnu personally resides, is the highest of all. It is worshipable by the inhabitants of all other planets within the universe. Please come with us and live there eternally. O immortal one, this unique airplane has been sent by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's like a private jet, who is worshipped by selected prayers and who is the chief of all living entities. You are quite worthy to board such a plane. All aboard. Exciting. The great sage Maitreya continued. Maharaj Dhruva was very dear to the personality of Godhead. When he heard the sweet speeches of the Lord's chief associates of the Vaikuntha planets, he immediately took his sacred bath, dressed himself with suitable ornaments, and performed his daily spiritual duties. Thereafter, he offered his respectful obeisances to the great sages present there and accepted their blessings.
Prabhupada writes, we should mark how dutiful Dhruva Maharaj was in his devotional service. Even at the time he left this material world, he was constantly alert in the performance of devotional duties. Right? He wasn't like, oh, I achieved my goal now, and all that stuff that I was doing was just so that I can get here, and none of it means anything to me anymore. Right? Bhakti, the means and the end are the same. So even after he achieved the goal of the practice, he continued with the practice, but he was doing it in a state of deep love. And he also, oh, go ahead, yeah.
We were both going to say the same thing.
I don't know.
What are you going to say?
I was going to go to the end of the commentary.
No, I was going to read the second line.
Okay, go ahead, read the second line.
Okay, this is directly directed towards Mara. Every devotee should take their bath early in the morning and decorate the body with tilak. I chastised Mara at Govardhan Hill. I was like, where are you going? Not wearing tilak. She's like, well, I'm going to Prikram. I was like, did you bathe? She goes, yeah. I go, where's your tilak? She's like, I didn't wear it. Go upstairs, put your tilak on, come back down. And she said, okay, Prabhu. Okay, yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. She always says, yes, Prabhu. Okay.
But I was going to read this part where Prabhupada says, there are other great sages there, but Dhruva did not become puffed up because the airplane sent by Lord Vishnu was waiting for him. You know, in other words, it's kind of like, okay, sages, step back. You know, like,
yeah.
Lord Vishnu just sent a plane for me.
He bowed to everybody else.
Yeah, so as a humble Vaishnava, he accepted the blessings of all the sages before riding on the plane brought by the chief of the Vaikuntha associates.
Right. If a private jet landed for me and said, Mr. Capel, please come, I'd be like, yeah, all right, here I am.
Who's the real sage?
Who's right? Who's your daddy? Yeah.
I don't see any planes coming for you.
All righty. Next.
We're almost out of time. We are out of time.
What?
Yeah.
We are out of time. All right. Mara, Prabhu, what you got for us today? What can we take away from today's class?
Where is the ritual bringing us? Notice sensation.
Where is it bringing us?
Yeah. Notice sensation. Don't give meaning to it.
Don't give meaning to the sensation.
Yeah. Our spiritual life is a joyful daily communion.
Our spiritual life is a joyful daily communion. Yep.
Ritual is designed to give you eyes to see God everywhere.
Check.
Don't wait for the pie in the sky.
Nope. I wouldn't mind a pie right now during this fast.
An earthly pie.
Big water pie.
Meditate to forget your existence. Love is
what? I'm gonna give that a what?
Yeah. And then Karuna sent me, going to the forest to meditate like Dhruva is very hard for people in Kali Yuga.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, good.
And what about love is love?
Love is love. Me and Kaustubha wrestling down a mountain, smiling, giddy. Get to the bottom, there's pillows, we're just hitting each other.
I don't think I'm ever going there again, Raghunath.
Gita Priya comes out with the no-bake cookies. We sit down, we laugh, we drink sparkling apple juice, cheers our glasses together. Mara comes with a bunch of vegan meatball subs. Hey! Oh, the life we live! Thanks, everybody, for joining us. What a day. It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day, isn't it?
It sure is.
Sweet baby Krishna today, 7 o'clock, Kaustubha.
Hey, Thursday night Kirtan tonight. I think I'm going for the first time in a long time. Bhakti Center. It's going to be 80 degrees today, Raghunath. Summer's here.
Summer's here, man. Me and Me and the kids jumped on the trampoline yesterday. Me and Rachel went for a long Joppa walk. Creekside. It's all getting ecstatic. Trying to do some saber retreats and get this place ready for Cindy Lunsford, our first retreat of the year. Woo!